Hello everybody, this is Sam Trotter here with the last of the Borderlands optimizing videos, this one for Brick the Berserker. So today we're talking about the Brick himself, dressed in this lovely tutu made for him by his mother, and we're going to hop right into it. Basically what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to go skill by skill and tell you guys if the skill is poor, solid, good, or outstanding. Outstanding skills being essential, poor skills being totally worthless, and the other two being somewhere in between. And I'm going to explain along the way just some strategy and tips for how to get the most out of your Berserker. At the end of the video, I'm going to tell you about 2 endgame builds that are pretty much the most optimal ways to build Brick. And then I'm going to also talk about, on your first playthrough of Brick, how to have the most fun and what build might show you the most success then. So, let's hop into it. First, I gotta talk about Berserk, just to let you know what it does. So, this tooltip is highly misleading. These tooltips never really tell you what they do. So, Berserk lasts 18 seconds without any duration extensions. While berserking, you have a left punch, a jab that does twice your normal melee damage, multiplicative, and you have an uppercut that does 4 times your regular melee damage, multiplicative. So, in the time it takes to do 1 uppercut, you can get in about 3 jabs. However, I recommend using the jabs over the uppercut in most scenarios because the jabs are easier to land crits with. The uppercut, it can be a little more difficult to reliably land critical hits. And the jabs, they generally have a bit of a more accurate feel, you know. If you miss a jab, you're losing out on much less DPS than if you spent those seconds winding up for the uppercut. So use your jabs for the most part. Use the uppercut on the approach. So when you're charging at an enemy, the wind up obviously isn't costing you any damage per second because you're not yet at the enemy to jab them. So when you're charging at enemies, use the wind up, do a jump if you need to maintain your momentum. But otherwise, stick to the jabs when you're up close and personal. It'll give you a more consistent feel to your damage. All right, so that's Berserk. Also, you regenerate health, which is very nice. So, let's hop right into it. Endless Rage. This skill is outstanding. 50% duration is 9 extra seconds of Berserk, and it'll actually allow you to spend the majority of your encounters in Berserk. So this skill is very important. If you can boost it with a class mod, all the better. That just gives you much more time to vent your anger through your fists. Because guns are for the weak, let's be honest. Iron Fist is solid. The skill isn't good, it's not outstanding, but it's solid. The problem with this sort of damage increase is it's additive, not multiplicative. So this is going to give you 30% damage additively. What that means is, how to explain? So assume you do 100 melee damage. That means this will give you 130. Now, now let's talk, if you go to heavy-handed, this gives you 60% additive melee damage on your melee attacks after you get a kill. So you're doing 130 because of Iron Fist, and this gives you 60% additive. So that means you now do 190 because you're now doing 190% of your normal, or you're doing an additional 90% on top of your normal damage. Whereas if it was multiplicative, what would happen instead is it would be, your damage would equal 100 times 1.3, that's Iron Fist, that's this 30%. And then it would be that number, which is 130, times 1.6, which is heavy-handed, which will give you a number that is larger than 190. Multiplicative is always better than additive for the purposes of damage increase. If that was difficult to understand, you can watch it again and kind of work it out for yourself. Look at the difference on paper between multiplying 100 by 1.9 and multiplying it by 1.3 and then by 1.6. Prove it to yourself if you need to. So, that was a long-winded way to say Iron Fist is solid. Heavy-handed is really good. An extra 60%, even though it's just additive, is really strong. This makes Brick on a solo playthrough very powerful. You want to abuse this ability as much as possible by killing weak enemies and using the increased DPS to take down those badasses that are otherwise going to whoop your ass. This ability decreases in value once you go to multiplayer, as all kill skills do, because, you know, you're not going to be able to secure those kills. Still good, though. Still pretty decent. So this skill overall gets a good rating. Good to outstanding. Kind of up to perspective. Sting like a bee. This skill used to be broken, not broken in the, oh my god, it's amazing way, but broken in the, crap, it doesn't work kind of way, you know? But Gearbox fixed it, remarkably. They fixed very little about this game, but this they paid attention to. So this skill is good. I don't recommend taking more than 3 points in this, because at that point it gets a little finicky with the accuracy of your punches when dashing, and it gets a little hard to control. So I think 3 points is the perfect amount in this to give you more mobility without making you feel unwieldy. Short fuse. This skill is outstanding. 36 reduction, possibly more with class mods. That is just absurdity. So without any class mods, this halves your Berserk cooldown, which is delicious. But you want to boost this with class mods and get it even lower. You want all that cooldown reduction. It's such a sweet stat. So make sure you can keep Berserk. This plus Endless Rage really works to make your Berserking feel limitless, really, which is the power fantasy Brick tries to achieve. Prize fighter. Yep. This was a thing. Alright, so Bloodsport. Bloodsport is good. It's a really strong ability. There's not too much to say about it. It's a good capstone. Definitely max this if you're going for the build. I'm not going to say it's outstanding. It's good. It's not enough. It's basically vamp, like vampirism. You're sucking health from the people you kill. It's not enough sustain that in and of itself it'll keep you alive through anything, but it'll save your life multiple times over the course of the campaign. So that's quite handy. It's valuable. Bloodsport. It's a delicious title. I like it. Hardened. And I thought Roland had a delicious health increase ability. Good gods above. This adds on to Brick's already absurd health pool. Hardened is just... what is this skill? So this is amazing. This is amazing for several reasons. It's amazing because, for one, health regen in this game is percentage based. So the higher your health, the more health you were generating per second. So that sweet regen. This buffs Berserk's regen a bunch. This buffs shields that offer regen a bunch. This synergizes with Bloodsport because 10% of your health with Hardened is far larger. In fact, it's 1.6 times larger than your health without Hardened. So that sweet Winergy right there is just... oh, it's a beauty to behold, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beauty. Safeguard. Oh, so this is outstanding. Just straight up. Safeguard is also really good. This is good. Larger shield is very, very potent. Particularly this wombo combos with Unbreakable. Just... oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'll save my excitement for then. Bash. This is bad. This is... I'm not going to call it poor, because you're going to take it on the melee build eventually. But this is between poor and solid. This is probably the last thing you take on a melee build. Daze is not the best status ailment when you have to apply it via melee, because ideally, once you've reached an enemy and are punching them, they're going to die within about 3 or 4 seconds. If not, you're in trouble, and Daze isn't really going to save you there. Not to mention... it's only really effective if you can spread it to enemies that you're not currently DPSing down, because those are the ones that are going to be DPSing you. So, Bash is really bad. No, it's not good. Not good at all. Juggernaut is amazing. This skill is quite fantastic. It's outstanding. This and Revenge over here are the 2 best kill skills in the game, hands down, except maybe Phoenix on Lilith. And they're really what make Master Blaster Brick totally viable, even though Master Blaster doesn't use his action skill. So even without an action skill, Brick is still better, frankly, at the arena than almost any other class, because he's got this tag team of demolition, of dankdom. Come on, guys, this is good. So Juggernaut's really good. That damage resistance is quite fantastic. Die Hard is really good. Oh my goodness, this is also outstanding. This tree, his tank tree, is just full of goodies. Oh, Brick is he has such a good skill tree, guys. It makes me so happy to talk about this one. I saved it as a treat. So Die Hard will increase your revive time, give you more time to be revived. It's fantastic. It gives you so much extra leeway in getting those clutch second wins. You're going to be hollering. You're going to be hooting. You're going to be jumping out of your seat when you get that last second win after like 20 seconds of waiting for an enemy to poke his goddamn head out of cover. Die Hard is really solid. Payback. This skill is dubious. This skill is much better once you get Unbreakable, but it is still bad, I'm going to say. It's not poor, it's solid. So the problem with this, what it doesn't tell you, is this only... So it resets only when your shield gets back to full. So it procs when your shield hits 0 after it's been full, but then you don't get the effect again unless your shield goes all the way back up. Which means you're either going to have to spend a lot of time just hiding behind cover, whistling, doing some Sudoku under the desk while you wait, or you're not going to be getting this effect that often. Again, it becomes much better with Unbreakable, but it's a dubious skill. It's not nearly as good as Die Hard, to be honest. Unbreakable is really strong. Now, first we need to sit down. I'm sorry, guys, I got to break something to you. This ability is glitched. It does not work while you are berserking. I have no... pardon me, cover your ears, sensitive souls. I have no fucking clue why they didn't put this in the tooltip. This is so important that it doesn't work while berserking. Like, I can't imagine how many bug reports they've gotten about this, when I think it's an intended feature. Otherwise, berserking would be too strong. But this doesn't work while berserking, so it's useless to a berserk build. Get that right out of the way. Sorry, guys, berserkers, you can't be truly unkillable. Truly, truly outrageous. For you Master Blasters out there, though, this is really good. It doesn't, like Payback, it doesn't reset until your shield is all the way full again. But if you use a class mod that boosts Unbreakable, you can actually get it so that it'll fully regenerate your shield while it's procced, and therefore immediately reset itself. So this skill is just an absolute delight. It's really handy. It contributes, again, to Brick being probably one of the best characters for the arena. The best character, after Lilith. Maybe better. Dubious. So, that's the tank tree. This is probably one of the best trees in the game. It has 3 outstanding skills. Or no, 4. I'd say all 4 of these are outstanding. This is really good. These 2 are bad, but that's 4 outstandings in one tree is quite something, I must say. So, endowed. And don't we all want to be well endowed, ladies and gentlemen? So, we already know that Brick's packing, but if you want to make that endowment even bigger, you take endowed. This explosive damage is decent for a rocket launcher build. This is pretty strong. 15% damage. It's nothing to sneeze at. It's nothing to cough at. This is good. This is a good skill. However, it's not as good as this baby. Now, 20% reload speed doesn't seem like a game changer, but that contributes to DPS in an invisible way. It contributes to headache in a very tangible way. Less reload on those rocket launchers feels quite nice. And the reduced recoil reduction is handy, That also is invisible DPS. I would always go with rapid reload over endowed, because even if you're using explosive weapons, you're not going to be using them forever, is the thing. Because in a single player playthrough, you can't really control what weapons you get. So endowed is a risky investment. It's basically assuming you'll always have a good explosive weapon at any point in the campaign. All right, wide load. So if you want to be both well endowed and carry a wide load, oh goodness gracious, never mind. Forget this ever happened. This is good. This massively increases your DPS with rocket launchers and rocket builds. Mostly because this means you'll spend dramatically less time reloading, and you can just fire off much faster. Harpoons, it's a type of rocket launcher that only has 1 in the clip, so this allows you to basically quintuple your clip size with the harpoon. Wide load is really fantastic. This is an outstanding skill for rocket launcher builds, obviously useless for not rocket launcher builds, but revenge. Ooh, sorry to headphone users, but this is good. So, 50% damage is, in case you don't know, that's 50% damage, guys. That is a 1.5 times multiplicative damage increase. The DPS is just, it's out of there. It's off the chain, it's off the roof, it's off the planet. You know what I'm saying? So this plus Juggernaut, the Juggernaut's revenge, I'll call it, is quite strong. Outstanding. Liquidate is meh. So this is useless on a blaster build. This could be handy to a Berserk build, but you'd have to take useless skills to get to it. So this is a poor skill. Liquidate, I'm so sorry, man. You should have been where Prize Fighter is. If only these two could switch places. Or if only Prize Fighter could have died and never made it into the game. Cast Iron is good. This is actually more to protect you from yourself than anything else, because if you're using a rocket launcher build and firing point blank, this will actually save you a lot of headache. So this skill is good for a rocket launcher build. Otherwise, it's a little dubious, to be perfectly honest, but it'll do. I'll say this is solid. Master Blaster. This is tasty. So 60% fire rate, ladies and gentlemen. 60% fire rate. So let's look at what you're getting from this tree. After you get a kill, you get 50% extra damage, multiplicative. You get 60% extra fire rate, which is a multiplicative DPS increase. That is a dramatic boost to your damage output and will allow you to mow down the biggest badasses in the land. They don't stand a ghost of a chance. They don't stand a siren of a chance against this manimal right here in the pink leotard. This is just, it's too strong. It's not of this world. Master Blaster is so good, it's worth enduring the bad skills in this tree in order to pick it up. It's worth going with the less optimal approach. So, we have now talked about all of Brick's skills. So now it's time to talk about what builds you should be putting together. So first we'll talk about your first playthrough. The very first time you're going through the Borderlands, you're questing for a vault, which will inevitably disappoint you. No spoilers. What are you going to do? Well, first you have to decide. Do you want to use guns, or do you really want to focus on berserking? If you want to focus on berserking, which is what I recommend, because your first playthrough, you should really be experiencing what makes Brick unique. Something that's just totally his thing, which is getting angry and punching things. So you're going to go down this tree. You're going to take Endless Rage, because it's far stronger than the small damage boost Iron Fist gives. You're going to take Heavy-Handed, because it's really strong and it'll allow you to snowball off your kills, kill weak enemies, kill badasses, etc., etc. You're going to take Short Fuse, because that cooldown reduction is so juicy, you know? It's just ripe. It's the peach of abilities. And you're going to take Bloodsport, because are you not entertained, ladies and gentlemen? And it's good sustain. So this is probably the most obvious skill path in the game as far as builds are concerned, but this is really what you want to do on your first playthrough. Once you have these four, I would go for Hardened, and I would go for Juggernaut. And you're really not going to be higher level than that on your first playthrough. So that's where you want to be. It's pretty good. This is a sweet place. It's a really fun playthrough. I highly recommend it. On my list of playthroughs, if I had to play through this game again for the first time, I would want someone to recommend Lilith to me. And second, I would want to do Brick. So take that as you will. Now let's finish this and show you what a finished melee Brick build looks like. So we started with 175 skill points because this is a hacked PC character. I wanted to test out everything. But 175 minus 69, as 69 is the most skill points you can get. Hardy har gearbox. 175 minus 69 is 106. So we get to spend until we have 106 left. So what does that look like? Let's take the good skills. So we take Safeguard, we take Iron Fist, we take 3 points of Sting like a bee. Now we're faced with some dilemmas, you know, because what do we want to chase after next? We have so many skill points left. We have 25 about, and we don't really know what to do with them. So we're going to start taking bad skills, or skills that aren't as good. So we're going to take Bash, because we have the skill points. We're going to take Die Hard, because Why not? It could be handy. It might save us in a pinch. We're going to take Payback because it is a general damage boost. It's not just for guns, so that does help us. And from there, we're kind of stuck. Now, Endowed does not increase the damage of your explosive fist attacks, so it actually isn't that helpful. This, however, is totally useless. So we kind of have to look at ourselves and say, well, we're only going to be berserking 90% of the time, so what do we do in the remaining 10%? And for that, I think we take Endowed, and I think we take Revenge. And just like that, we're done. This is our final build. So these two are mostly to help you when you're not berserking, if you're trying to get a second wind or something. These will help you do a little bit. The reason we don't take Revenge is because it's all weapons, and weapons apparently doesn't include fists, even though that's kind of the most important weapon to a true manimal like the Brickster over there. So that's a little tragic. But this is going to be your final melee build. Again, we don't take Unbreakable because it doesn't work while berserking. We don't go for Liquidate because it's really not enough that it's worth it. You could probably take away Bash and max Liquidate if you want, but if you're using the right mods, you're really going to be berserking constantly, so it's not a huge deal. And Bash, I think, is a little more valuable than reducing the cooldown by 2 or 3 seconds, you know? All right. I don't think there's anything else to explain. Oh, you could also go for Cast Iron, by the way. It'll reduce a little bit of enemy damage. You could swap Bash out for that, and that might help. Your prerogative, your call. What your experience is will dictate that. So, now let's show you the Master Blaster build that's probably my favorite arena build, or at least the one I've had the most success with. So, let's look at it. We take Berserk, even though we will never use it. We're going to go down this tree and get all the great skills. So we're grabbing those, we're grabbing those. We're grabbing some of these. So this is all the good stuff from Tank. Then we're going to go down this tree. So Rapid Reload is delicious. Revenge is my baby. And from here, it really depends on what weapon you're using. If you're going for a rocket launcher build, which isn't optimal DPS, unless you're fighting groups of enemies and hitting multiple foes, it's not optimal, but it's really, really fun. So for that, you would go Endowed Wide Load. But if you're doing Shotgun Brick, which I think is the most powerful version, you're going to go Cast Iron and Master Blaster. And bada boom, this build, when complete, is probably the most powerful power spike in the entire game. Brick, at this point with these skills, is the most powerful character at any point. He'll be outscaled by Lilith, because Lilith is better at max level. She has more stuff she wants, you know, she has more skills to work towards. But Brick at this point has everything he wants. So this is a really, really good place to be. And it's kind of almost a shame that they gave us so many skill points, because this would be the like hands down best build in the game if they hadn't given us more skill points and really allowed Lilith and Roland to kind of outscale Brick. But anyway, that aside, he still does fuckloads of damage. So from here, we can kind of take convenience abilities. So we take Payback because it's nice. And from there, it's really your prerogative. There's really no way to improve the build from here. You can take these two for rocket launcher purposes and for explosive shotgun purposes with Endowed. So that is helpful. Endowed is probably a good benefit to the build. But otherwise, there's not really anything left to do with your remaining skill points. So take what you think is fun, I guess. Bash could theoretically be useful because one technique in Borderlands is animation canceling your reloads with melee attacks is a huge technical skill in this game. Animation canceling in general is really valuable. So if you're animation canceling with melee attacks like you should be, well, I guess sometimes you're hitting enemies, so sometimes Bash might help. Maybe? It's ambitious, but sure, we'll take it. And maybe just throw your last 3 points in all 3 because it looks pretty. I like that. This is a good looking build. Just, it looks like it's aesthetically pleasing. That's what I'll label this. And not to mention you're playing Brick, which is the most aesthetically pleasing creature that ever there was. That jaw, those eyes, his shoulders, his absence of neck. Like, that's the ideal human form. Transcending the need for a neck is really where mankind is going. In any case, with this build, what you're going to want is you want good shotguns. Bulldogs are fantastic. Pestilent Crux is really, really good. So you want these sorts of things. You're going to want an Ogre mod, which is amazing. The Rapid Reload, the Revenge, the Die Hard. This is just absolute absurdity. So this is really the stuff you're going to want. I have a quick health regen because health regen shields are really good on him because Brick has a massive health pool, and that percentage health regen will really benefit you. Incendiary Rain is good because you want to apply that dot. You could also go for Incendiary Corrosive, or not Incendiary, but Corrosive Rain, or you could go for Transfusion for Sustain. So that is Brick. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're done with Borderlands. I find myself at an impasse, as though 1,000 roads opened before me, having arrived at the end of this road. I think my next project is going to be working on some optimizing videos for Dragon Age Origins. Do each of those 3 classes. But after that, I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. So if you have a game you'd like, I could do that. I could do the other Borderlands games, although I don't have as much experience with all the classes in them, so I'd have to do considerably more research. But I'll do it for you guys, you know? Just hit me up, tell me what you'd like, and thanks again for sticking around for this journey. I know it's been a long one, but I hope to put out some very regular content, maybe get to doing some streaming eventually, if anyone would watch. But yeah, thank you guys so much for bearing with me on the journey. Take care, everybody. Best wishes. This is Samuel Trotter signing out.